Shama Shenata Abi Tehorahi Ata Berata Ata Yetzarta Ata Nefachta Bi Ve'ata Meshamra Bekirbi Elohai, Elohai, Neshama Shenatata bi Tehorahi. Our Bat Mitzvah continues leading us now with the Nisim B'chol Yom, the blessings for the daily miracles on page 198.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, who has given the mind the ability to distinguish day from night. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, who opens the eyes of the blind. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, who frees the captive. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, who lifts up the fallen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, who stretches the earth over the waters. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, who strengthens our steps. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, who clothes the naked. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, who gives strength to the weary. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, who removes sleep from the eyes, slumber from the eyelids. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, who has made me in the image of God. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, who has made me free. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, who has made me a Jew. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, who girds Israel with strength. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, who crowns Israel with splendor. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher hishanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahasot v'divrei Torah. We continue with the Ashrei on page 215. Ashrei Yoshe Veitecha, Odia Hallelujah Selah. Ashrei Yoshe Veitecha, Odia Hallelujah Selah. Ashrei, Ashrei, Ashrei Yoshe Veitecha. Ashrei, Ashrei, Ashrei Yoshe Veitecha. Happy are those who dwell in your house, they will sing your praises forever. Happy are those who dwell in your house, they will sing your praises forever. Ashrei Yoshe Veitecha, Odia Hallelujah Selah. Ashrei Yoshe Veitecha, Odia Hallelujah Selah. Please rise in body or spirit for our call to prayer on page 226.
Lai la lai la 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 lai. Lai la lai la 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 lai. Ya ya la lai 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 ya la lai 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 la lai la 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 lai. Lai ya la lai 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 ya la lai 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 la lai la 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 lai lai. Baruchu et Adonai HaMevorach. Baruch Adonai HaMevorach Leolam Va'ed.
We are on page 228. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, Yotzer or uvarei hoshech, Osei shalom uvarei et hakol. Hameir la'aretz veladarim alecha barachamim, Uvtuvo mechadesh b'chol yom tamid ma'aseh v'reshit. Ma rabu ma'asecha Adonai, kulam bechokma asita, malach haaretz kinyanecha. Hitbarach Adonai Eloheinu, al shevav ma'aseh yadeha, va'al me'orei or, shevasita ifarucha sela. Or chadas al tzion ta'ir, veniskei chulanu mecherat le'oro. Baruch atah Adonai, Yotzer HaMe'orot. Please join me on the top of page 231. Once or twice in a lifetime, a man or woman may choose a radical leaving, having heard Lech Lecha, go forth. God disturbs us toward our destiny by hard events and by freedom's now urgent voice, which explode and confirm who we are. We don't like leaving, but God loves becoming.
Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad. 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 Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
You may be seated. We are on page 234. Okay. Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavcha b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol meodecha v'chayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anuchi mitzavecha hayom aleavecha v'shinantam levanecha v'divarta v'af v'shitecha v'vetecha v'fleftecha v'derech v'shochbecha v'vkumecha v'shartam le'od al yadecha v'chayu letoltachod b'neinecha v'shartam al mezuzot beitecha v'visharvecha למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתם מארץ מצרים לחיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני Elohechem, Adonai Elohechem Emet.
We now invite forward Olivia's great-grandmother, Nadir Omer, to share the reading at the top of page 241. Oh, if you could come.
The good in us will win over all the wickedness, over all the wrong we have done. We will look back at the pages of written history and be amazed. And then we will laugh and sing. And the good that in us, children in the cradles, will have won. Our hearts beat with certainty that there is a day, an hour, and the mountain called Zion, and that all of the sufferings will gather there and become song, ringing into every corner of the earth from end to end, and the nations will hear it. And like the caravans in the desert, we will all to that morning throng.
Thank you, Nadir. Thank you, so beautiful. Olivia, maybe help your great-grandmother down the steps while we continue with Micha Mocha, this song of redemption. Ya bye bye bim bim bye, ya bye 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 bim bam, ya bye bada bim bim bye, ya bye 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 bim bam, ay ay da 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 da, ya bye 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 bim bam, ay ay da 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 da, ya bye 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 bim bam. Mi chamocha ba'ili madonai, mi chamocha nehedar b'kodesh, norati lo. Oh, say Melech, Nora Tehilot, oh, say Melech, Yabai by bim bim by, Yabai by bim bam, Yabai bada bim bim by, Yabai by bim bam, ay da 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 da, Yabai by bim bam, ay da 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 da, Yabai by bim bam, Shira Chadasha, Shibachu Geulim. לשמחה שפתיה, יחד כולם הודו והמליכו, ואמרו אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ישראל, קומה בעזרת ישראל, ובטחנו ממך יהודה וישראל. גואלנו אדוני צבאות שמו, קדוש ישראל, ברוך אתה אדוני, גאל Israel. We invite you to rise in body or spirit as we continue with the Amidah, our standing meditational prayer, beginning on page 242. Adonai, שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך. אדוני, שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך. אתה אדוני Eloheinu, Elohei Avotenu v'Imotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, Elohei Leah, Ha'el Hagadol, Hagibor v'Hanora, El Elyon, גומל חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, ומביא גאולה לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע, מוריד הטל, מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים, סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממית ומחיה, ומצמיח ישוע, ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל. ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל.
You are the open door that beckons me in. Peeking around the doorframe, I begin to enter your glory. You move me forward, O Eternal, to step beyond self-made boundaries. Lift my foot over the threshold that I might abide with you. In the house of the Eternal, I found my questions, waiting to be posed. They filled me with wonder. Sit with me, Eternal Teacher. Encourage my seeking as I fill my hours with your mitzvot, so I shall be filled. Send me through your door, stretching up to honor your name, sharing out this wonder, enriching myself in the giving.
נקדש את שמך בעולם, כשם שמקדישים אותו בשמי מרום, ככתוב על יד נביאך, וקרא זה אל זה ואמר, קדוש, 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 אדוני צבאות, ולא כל הארץ כבודו. אדיר אדירנו אדוני אדוננו, מדיר שמך בכל הארץ, ברוך כבוד אדוני במקומו. אחד הוא אלוהינו, הוא אבינו, הוא מלכנו, הוא מושיענו והוא ישמיענו, ברחמיו לעיני כל חי. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, ימלוך אדוני לעולם. אלוהי ציון לדור ודור, הללויה. לדור ודור נגיד גודלך, ולנצח נצחים קדושתך נקדיש. ושבחך אלוהינו מפינו לא ימוש לעולם ועד. ברוך אתה אדוני האל הקדוש.
Please take a few moments for your private prayers and meditations, and you may be seated whenever you feel ready to do so.
ratonim revi Yiyu ratonim revi וגיון ליבי לפניך אדוני צורי וגואלי Oh, may the words of my mouth, the meditations of my heart be acceptable to you. Adonai, my rock and my redeemer. Oh, say shalom bimromah. ויעשה שלום עלינו ועל כל ישראל וימרו אמן.
We have a tradition at Temple Bethel, well, many traditions, but there's a tradition called the burning question, where every Bat Mitzvah student who we have has a chance to ask a question about Judaism, about theology, about Jewish views on anything, really anything at all that they wish to ask. And on the day that they become a Bat Mitzvah, like Olivia is, I just start to answer the question, because often they're very big questions like the one that Olivia came up with. So Olivia, your question was about what God looks like and what the Torah has to say about the image of God. You might be aware of a joke where someone said, well, what does God look like? And the response was, well, first of all, she's Black. And the reason that that was such a really powerful statement is because so often the images in the literature that we see are of God as a white man in the sky with a beard. But nowhere in the Torah is God actually described in such a way. Sure, there are times when the Torah talked about God's nostrils flaring in anger, or indicated that Moses should look at God's back, or that God and Moses spoke face to face with one another. But such descriptions are widely understood to be metaphors. After all, God is so intangible, too ethereal to be grasped. And so metaphors become the way in which we may connect with that which is bigger than ourselves. God is described sometimes as a man with a beard or as a white man with a beard, because often the people who are making that description are white men with beards. In other words, we see God perhaps in the way that it is a reflection of ourselves. It's so much easier to connect at times with something that looks like us. But the Torah pushes us beyond that. It pushes us beyond those kind of ideas, and within the Torah scroll alone, that's not even including all the rabbinic literature and all of the different texts that came after the Torah, of which there is a whole lot. There are at least 72 images of God. And I say at least 72 because as Jews, we can't agree on very much, and we can't agree on even the number there, right? It must maybe way more than 72. So what are some of these images? Well, God is described as a guardian of Israel, as a judge on high. God is sometimes described as being jealous or vengeful, as we'll get to when we hear a little bit about what Olivia has to say later, as a creator. But God is also described as a womb, as a ruler, as the still small voice that calls to us from within. God is described as a rock and as a mother and as a shepherd and as a redeemer and as the Shekinah, a feminine presence who went into exile with the Jewish people, offering comfort at some of the most difficult moments, and as a source of life. When we go into confirmation class, and when Olivia, I look forward to the day that you are in confirmation class, we explore in detail a lot of these many images of God and what we individually relate to. God, we learn, is farther than the farthest most star and yet closer than the air we breathe. In your life, Olivia, you will find moments when you connect to something bigger than yourself. And maybe in the kindness of a stranger or in the love of a family member or friend. In the courage you find within or the still small voice that guides you on life's journey. In the grandness of the natural world or a calling to make the world better in any way that only you can. But it's important to know that no one gets to dictate what God looks like for you, Olivia. The Torah describes God in a myriad of ways because we are a community with a myriad of perspectives. We all relate differently, experience differently the one we often refer to as God. And that is a blessing. Throughout your life, Olivia, you may come to understand God in many different ways. It may even vary moment by moment. Part of the reason that we are called Yisrael, wrestlers with God, is because we grapple with our understanding of God throughout our lives. Our lives are filled with a sacred dance with the Almighty. We will have moments when we feel God close, and moments perhaps when God feels further away. The most important thing is that we keep on dancing. So that is just the start of a very, very, very big, beautiful question that you came up with, Olivia. And I look forward to continuing to explore it with you in the years to come. But right now, we are about to begin our Torah service this morning, when you will be called up for the very first time to not only read Torah, but to have a blessing over the Torah, to have the Torah passed down to you, Olivia, from generation to generation. And so the first thing that we're going to do is we're going to ask you to come up, because I know that you have a pledge that you would like to offer. And as soon as you're done offering that pledge, Olivia, we're going to call up your grandparents, Naran and Akun, to offer some blessings to you.
Is it on? Okay, it's on. I'm about to receive the gift of Torah and share in the sacred responsibility of teaching Torah to others. I am able to do this because I have studied and because I have made a commitment to the value of learning. In order for me to grow as a Jew and to share with others the blessings I have received, I accept the responsibility to continue with my Jewish education through confirmation and perhaps even beyond. As Bat Mitzvah, I am responsible for the mitzvah of learning, and I will fulfill that mitzvah. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav v'tzivanu lahasot v'divrei Torah. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who has made us holy with your commandments and commanded us to be occupied with the words of Torah. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, hamlamed Torah l'amcha Yisrael. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who teaches the Torah to your people Israel.
Amen. Very nice. Now we invite up Akun and Naran, to come and share a blessing with you. Stay right here.
Hello. Darling Olivia, today you leave behind your life as a child with your days completely run by your parents and teachers. Today is the beginning of your ability to spread your wings and move into the life of a young woman. When you were a toddler, you saw the world around you and questioned everything. As you grew, your inquisitive mind matured. You wanted to control all your life, to make your own decisions, some of which were more than your parents could allow. You once asked your mother, "How old do I need to be so you are not my boss?" I was there with you. And now, finally, Olivia, you can begin to take control of your life, starting with you figuring out what kind of woman you want to be. The beauty of the Bat Mitzvah, it is the ending of your one part of your life in being a child and the beginning of your next chapter, learning how truly to be a good adult.
Even though you're now free to make more decisions on your own, you still have us, your family and your community, to help you when you get stuck. You have a wealth of love and knowledge sitting right here celebrating you and your life. You're a very talented young woman. Olivia, with your musical talents, your artistic talents, your stellar schoolwork, but talent can only get you so far in life. It's the talent combined with your hard work that makes you so successful and will lead to your amazing accomplishments in the future. You are our kind, loving, and thoughtful granddaughter. Olivia, we love you with all of our heart and are so proud of you. May you be blessed with health and happiness for all the days of your life. Can I hug you?
Thank you.
Thank you so much, Naran.
Such beautiful, beautiful words of blessing. And this Torah, we're about to pass the Torah down from generation to generation. And it's clear that you have so many blessings that have led you to this day that are passed down from generation to generation in your family. And so I'd love to call up your parents to offer some words of blessing to you as well, Olivia.
Okay. I'm going to try not to completely sob through this whole thing. So should not have gone after my mom. Okay. So I'm going to start with a poem that Deanna actually gave me that I think encompasses you totally. It's called A Powerful Woman. She rises from her adversity, but never forgets her origin. She learns from her past and chooses to keep going forward. Even when her steps get heavy, she transforms her pain and suffering into strength and wisdom. Yes, she may stumble. Yes, sometimes she falls. So too does a powerful woman. She is equipped with an intuition that guides her course like a compass. She strives to love herself and all that she stands for with a fierce loyalty, even when it's difficult. She's not afraid to seek the truth, even when it hurts. She is passionate and uses her gifts to inspire and spread light and love. With a mind of wonder and a heart of goodness and grit, she is resilient. She refuses to be navigated by fear and doubt. She knows where she's been, where she is, and where she's headed. She uplifts other women and embodies authenticity and humility. She loves deeply, lives with compassion, and is relentlessly unapologetic. She is designed to be admired, not always liked. She is fierce, determined, and unstoppable. She is a powerful woman. Olivia, today is not only your 13th birthday, But as you become Bat Mitzvah this morning, you are stepping into adulthood in the eyes of Judaism. I have been so blessed to get to be your mom and watch you grow up and come into your own. Shit. You may say you don't know exactly who you are yet, or what you want to do when you graduate college. But I know exactly who you are. You are creative. You are passionate about the things and people you love. You are funny and witty and wise beyond your years. When most teens just want to fit in a mold and go with the flow, you are unapologetically you, the coolest person I know. May your love for books lead you to a lifetime of learning. May your creativity find the perfect outlet to share your gifts with to the world. May you always stay true to yourself and your beliefs and never doubt your own power. What you do in life matters. Make a difference in the world for better. I wish for all your dreams to come true because there is no one more deserving and no one better to make them come true. In the words of the great Maya Angelou, in all the world there is no heart for me like yours. In all the world there is no love for you like mine. I love you.
The words didn't come to me as eloquently, so I decided to do some interpretive dance. Is that, no? All right. So I'm actually going to start with a story I thought was like the perfect embodiment of Olivia and Judaism and the Bat Mitzvah and everything. So a few years ago, we went to Jerusalem, and we went to the Western Wall. And you disapprove? Okay, good. All right. And, you know, as you go there, it's very high energy, there's lots happening, and it's separated for men and women, right? So we decided I'm going to go one way, and Tijen's going to take the girls the other way. We had, I think, one phone, so there was no way to communicate with each other. So like it was 1985, we said, you have to, we're going to meet right here, I won't move, you don't move, we're going to meet at the exact same, this point. Chaos. So, and those who haven't been to the Western Wall, or those have, there's a lot going on. There's people singing and dancing and chanting, and there's young and old, and people crying and people laughing. It's all kinds of different emotions. So I spent some time there, and I thought it was a pretty good amount of time went by, and I go back to meet Tijen and the girls. And I wait, and I wait, and I wait. I'm looking at my watch, I'm looking at my phone, looking, nothing. And I'm thinking to myself, maybe I spent too long here, they got in, they got out. What are we going to do? Do I go back to the hotel? I couldn't figure it out. Well, another 10 minutes passes, and Tijen comes with pure anger in her eyes, right? She's just like what? Everybody's crying, Charlotte's crying, Violet's crying. So this is a great experience. I'm glad we did this. So it turns out, Olivia, who, well, we'll get to this, marches to the beat of her own drum, saw some teenage girls having a good time and singing and dancing and said, well, I'm going to go join them. That looks like a lot of fun. Didn't tell Tijen, didn't tell her sisters, and just went off on her own. So that entire time I was waiting, that was Tijen working her way through probably 500 people to find Olivia somewhere in the Western Wall by herself. So that's a story that I thought kind of embodied Olivia in a lot of ways. So so I did find a quote, because that's what you're supposed to do in these speeches. So it says, fitting in allows you to blend in with everybody else, but being different allows you to be yourself, be unique, and be more creative. So I don't know who Sonia Parker is, but apparently that's who said that. I thought it perfectly embodied Olivia. So first is about just being yourself. So, you know, things like our favorite moments together. I'll pick her up from music class, and we play The Black Parade by My Chemical Romance, and I'm usually the steering wheel drummer while she's doing guitar or bass. We're singing together and doing all that stuff. Like, that's some of our fun moments of creativity. Just being ourselves. Creative, we always talk, she's always drawing. I am not shocked her question was about what God looked like, because she's probably thinking, how do I make a manga God drawing or something? She'll also be in her room with the door closed, like late at night, and I'll come in and I'll say, thinking, she quickly will shut everything and put something against her, and I always think she's doing something wrong, and she's just sketching some new thing that she has. Super, super creative. And the being different, marching to their own tune. That story just kind of brought to me the all things Olivia. I'm proud of who you are. I'm proud of who you become, or you're becoming. Always be yourself. And back to that Western Wall story, maybe not walk away with strangers, though. That's where I'll draw the line. So I love you so much.
You guys are staying here. So in a moment, we are going to invite your sisters to come up and to open the ark, and your parents to give you the gift of this very precious and special Torah scroll. This Torah scroll that you're going to be gifted today, that each bar and bat mitzvah, each bat mitzvah at Temple Bethel receives as a gift to read from, as well as our confirmands. This is a very special scroll. It is one of 1,564 scrolls that were discovered after World War II. It comes from a little town called České Budějovice in the now Czech Republic, the then Czechoslovakia, and where the Nazis during World War II completely wiped out the Jewish population. And in doing so, they went into the synagogues and took our sacred objects, and Hitler had them stored in a warehouse so that someday he could create the museum of the people who no longer exist. 1,564 scrolls were discovered in this warehouse after World War II was over, and were taken to the Westminster Synagogue in London, where painstakingly scribes came in and repaired the ones that could be repaired and dedicated the ones that couldn't be repaired as being holy objects. Some of those scrolls that could not be repaired are still stored there in the Westminster Synagogue. If you're ever in London, I hope you'll have the chance to go and visit and see the museum that they've created on their third story. And the others were adopted out to congregations all around the world, either as museum objects, the ones that couldn't be read from, or to fortunate congregations like ourselves as scrolls that we could use as a sign that Hitler did not succeed. Each and every time that you read, or your sisters eventually read from this scroll, or anyone else in this congregation has read from this scroll, we are making a statement that we are here, that we are still here, that we are strong, and that we continue these teachings through this scroll, just as that small congregation did well over 100 years ago when that scroll was dedicated in their community. So what a gift that is. What a gift that is, and what a gift we are about to receive as you teach us from this sacred scroll. So I want to invite up Charlotte and Violet to come and open the ark. And I invite all of you to please stand if you are able. And as we open the ark, Olivia, I'm going to invite you to follow me over here. And go ahead and open. And I will hand the Torah scroll to your parents, who will hand it to you from generation to generation. Ki mitzion tetzei Torah udvar Adonai mi Yerushalayim. 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 Baruch shenatan Torah le'amo, Torah le'amo Yisrael. Baruch shenatan Torah le'amo, you can close it, Yisrael b'kedushotav. Ki mitzion tetzei Torah udvar Adonai mi Yerushalayim. Ki mitzion tetzei Torah udvar Adonai mi Yerushalayim. Please be seated. You guys can return to your seats. Let's find.
We are going to be reading from the Torah portion, Korach, this morning. And as the cantor finds the verses, we will prepare for our very first Aliyah this morning, which is Susan Frischman. So I invite you up. Tamod simcha bas chana bela v'kopel Aliyah rishona.
Somewhere I saw like a steeple thing.
There we go. Let me show you where we are. Right?
Okay.
Okay, good. So I'll let your grandmother come in and bless. Please.
Baruch et Ananai Hamim Varach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamim Varach Ha'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Ha'olam Asher Bacharbanu Mikol Ha'amim. V'natan Lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Notain HaTorah.
Amen.
Baruch Atah. Oh, you got it? Sorry.
Vayakol Moshe, Vayele el Datam, Va'averam, Vayachu Acharav, Ziknei Yisrael, Vaydaber el Harita, Lemor, Suru na Me'al, Ochole Ha'anashim, Harashaim, Ha'ele, Val Hifu, B'chol Asher Lahem, Pain Yisafu, B'chol Hatotam. Vayalu, Me'al Mishkan Korach, Vatam Va'aviram, Nisaviv, Vatam Va'aviram, Yatsu, Nitzavim. Petach oholehem, unshehem ufnehem, vetapam.
Okay. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torah emet. V'chaye olam natah b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai notain haTorah.
Amen.
Amen. Beautiful. Yasher Koach.
Beautiful. Thank you.
For our second Aliyah, we call up Byron Loubert and Linda Berliner. Yamod Shimon ben Avram Belinda Bat Sarah La'aliyah Shniha. And we'll hear the blessing in English and then in Hebrew.
Praise Adonai, to whom our praises due. Praise be Adonai, to whom our praises due, now and forever. Blessed are you, Eternal One, our God, who has chosen us from all peoples by giving us the Torah. Blessed are you, Adonai, giver of the Torah.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvarah.
Baruch Adonai Hamvarach Leolam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamavarach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Adonai.
Baruch Atah.
Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech Haolam Asher Bacharbanu Mikol Ha'amim V'nei Tan Lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Notain HaTorah.
Amen.
Okay.
Blessed are you, Eternal.
Okay. Vayomer Moshe bezot tedeum ki Adonai shelachani lahasot et kol hamasim ha'ele כי לא מליבי. אם כמות כל האדם ימותון אלה, ופקודת כל האדם יפקד עליהם לא אדוני שלחני. ואם בריאה אמרה אדוני, ופצתה האדמה את פיה, ובלעה אותם ואת כל אשר להם, וירדו חיים שאולה בדעתם, כי ניאצו האנשים האלה את אדוני.
Blessed are you, Eternal One, our God, Sovereign of the world, who has given us a Torah of truth, and planted in our midst eternal life. Blessed are you, Eternal One, who gives the Torah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah amet, v'cheyayeh olam nata b'tusheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Yishar kochem, mazel tov.
Beautiful. Thank you so much. For our third Aliyah, I'd like to call up our proud parents, Brett and Tijan. Yamod Shnur ben Simcha v'Simeon la'Aliyah Shlishi.
I do the English, Thank you. Praise Adonai, to whom our praise is due. Praise be Adonai, to whom our praise is due, now and forever. Blessed are you, Eternal One, our God, who has chosen us from all peoples by giving us the Torah. Blessed are you, Adonai, giver of the Torah.
Baruch et Adonai hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Baruch leolam va'ed.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bakar banu mikol ha'amim, v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
ויהי ככלותו לדבר את כל הדברים האלה. ותבקע האדמה אשר תחתיהם, ותכעס הארץ את פיך, ותבלע אותם ואת בתיהם, ואת כל האדם אשר לקורא, ואת כל הרכוש. וירדו הם בכל אשר להם חיים שאולה, ותכעס עליהם הארץ, ויעבדו מתוך הקהל, וכל ישראל אשר סביבותיהם נסו לקולה, כי אמרו פן תבלענו הארץ.
Blessed are you, Eternal One, our God, Sovereign of the world, who has given us a Torah of truth and planted in our midst eternal life. Blessed are you, Eternal One, who gives us the Torah.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher natan lanu Torah emet, v'kiyei olam nata b'tuheinu. Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen.
So beautifully done. And both of you will stay up there because this is a very big moment, what is about to happen right now. Because Olivia is going to be called to the Torah for the very first time. If there is a moment in this service where Olivia becomes a Bat Mitzvah, this is it. Tamod Chana Bela Bat Shnur la'Aliyah Rivi.
Baruch hu et Adonai hamvorach. Baruch Adonai hamvorach le'olam ba'ed. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam. Asher natan lanu. Asher barcha banu Torat. Mikol ha'amim. V'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
V'ish yatsa me'et Adonai v'torchal et ha'hamishim u'matayim ish makrivei ha'ketoret. V'yidaber Adonai el Moshe lemor. Emor el Elazar ben Ha'aron ha'kohen. V'yarem et hamaktot mibein hasrefa. V'et ha'esh zerei hala. Ki kadeshu.
Blessing.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher nata lanu Torat emet v'chaye olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'Torah.
Amen.
Yashar Tochach, we are so proud of everything that you have done. And so we'd like to offer this Misha Berach blessing for you, Olivia, on this sacred occasion. Misha Berach Avotenu v'Yemotenu Avraham, Yitzchak v'Yaakov, Sarah, Rivcha, Rachel v'Leah, hu yevarech et Chana Bela bat Shnor, shehigia lemitzvot, va'alta lichvod hamakom v'lichvod haTorah. May God, who blessed our ancestors, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bring blessings to Olivia Loubert, who has reached the age of responsibility and was called to the Torah for the very first time. Although you may have asked at a young age when it was that you wouldn't need to have to follow what your parents say, we still pray that you will continue to be raised to your full adulthood, leading you to a life filled with blessing of Torah, Jewish learning, of chuppah, the joy of loving relationships, and of masim tovim, of good deeds. May you find favor before God in the entire Jewish community, and may God watch over you and protect you. And together, let us all say, Amen.
All right. So we are going to lift this Torah scroll so that everyone can see where Olivia just read so beautifully. I'm going to invite Violet and Charlotte to come on back up so they can help me dress the scroll. And I invite you all to please stand if you are able. וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל על פי אדוני ביד משה. וזאת התורה, וזאת התורה, וזאת התורה אשר שם משה. וזאת התורה אשר שם משה לפני בני ישראל, לפני בני ישראל. Go ahead. וזאת התורה, 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 וזאת התורה. Give you the yad. Put it over both of them. Good job. Excellent. And you guys can give your sister a hug and go be seated. Aw,
Good luck. Thank you.
love it. You guys can give your daughter a hug and you can also go be seated. All right. You may all be seated. So you go.
Okay. Should I start?
Sure.
Okay. The Torah section I chose to focus on is about a priest named Korach who believed that he should be high priest instead of Moses and Aaron. To try and become high priest, Korach turned the people of Israel against Moses and Aaron and convinced them that he should be high priest instead. A huge civil war broke out in Israel, and later God appeared in front of everyone and opened a crack in the ground, sending Korach's followers to Sheol. Okay. Sheol is a place of isolation and darkness, where some people go temporarily as a punishment after they die. I can understand why God was angry at Korach for what he did. Korach was very arrogant and believed that only he should be high priest and refused to listen to anything else. He also took advantage of them and caused fighting and bloodshed. His actions made Israel divided and caused lots of violence. However, after reading this Torah section, I thought that what God did to Korach's followers was wrong and very harsh, even though Korach did something terrible. If I were in God's position, I would have tried to negotiate peace with Korach and his followers instead of immediately deciding to send him to Sheol. What God did in this section contradicts what the Torah teaches, which is forgiveness. There's a story in the Talmud about Rabbi Meir, who got tired of the criminals in his neighborhood and prayed that God would kill them for their sins. His wife, Ruria, overheard him praying for this and scolded him, saying that he should be praying that the sins go away, not the sinners. This ties to a lesson of forgiveness because she asked God to help guide the criminals on the right path instead of killing them. Ruria's idea is considered the wiser one, yet in the Torah section, God does almost exactly what Rabbi Meir did. I know, though, that God is capable of compassion because in the next story, God acts like Ruria. The story of the golden cow in the Torah teaches compassion and mercy. It tells how the people of Israel started worshiping a golden cow when Moses took too long to get the 10 Commandments. God was very angry that this happened because they were breaking the first commandment, don't worship other gods, and God was planning on erasing the Israelites and starting over, but then Moses asked God to be merciful and kind to the people of Israel. God then prays to himself to have more kindness and compassion. All of these stories relate to how we respond when we are angry. In the first and second stories, God and Rabbi Meir give in to anger, while in the third story, Moses encourages God to be kind, and God doesn't give in to anger. We should all learn to be like Ruria in God in the third story, to strive to be kind, compassionate, and merciful, even if people don't deserve it.
Beautifully taught and absolutely gorgeous. And I want to thank you for teaching us so beautifully. And we want to mark this moment as this first moment that you have taught us as a Jewish adult in our congregation with the blessing of the Shechianu. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shehechianu v'kiyemanu v'higianu l'zman hazeh. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, who hallows us with your mitzvot, your commandments, commanding us. No, sorry. Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, sovereign of the universe, for giving us life, for sustaining us, and for bringing us to this very sacred moment. Mazel tov, you did a beautiful, beautiful job. And now, give your attention to Rabbi.
Hi, Olivia, I know. It's strange, you just hear this voice all the time, right? I so desperately want to be right there next to you. You are doing such a phenomenal job, and we couldn't all be prouder than you, than we all are right now. Working with you on your Devar Torah was an absolute blessing and privilege because you are a person who's not afraid to ask the hard questions. Digging into this Torah portion, you showed a precision and a thoughtfulness in reading it where you said, whoa, wait a second, what's going on here? This doesn't work for me. What really is the teaching here? And you pushed it. Some of our greatest leaders in the Torah, including Moses himself, was perhaps chosen to be a leader because he was willing to ask hard questions, because he didn't just go along with what was happening in the greater community, but he said, no, we have to always hold to our highest values. And so when God was about to destroy the cities of Sodom and Gomorrah, Moses was perhaps chosen because, or Abraham was chosen because he was willing to stand up to God and said, no, that's not who you are as a God. And I think that there's such power in everything that you have taught us today, because you're so thoughtful about the values that you hold most dear, about treating people with compassion and respect, even perhaps when it's difficult to do so, which is a teaching that is so incredibly mature that it's quite astounding that you came to that at the age of 13. Olivia, I pray that you never stop being someone of strong moral character and values, that you never stop being someone who asks the hard questions and who pushes yourself and everyone around you to live up to the highest versions of themselves. You are an incredibly creative and thoughtful human being, and we are so excited to see the Jewish adult that you are becoming. So I'd like to offer you words that are often said at milestones in our lives, or perhaps even every single Friday night when they couldn't be said, which are the words of the priestly benediction. Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha. May God bless you and keep you. Yair Adonai panav elecha ve'chunecha. May God shine upon you and be gracious to you. Yisah Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God always uplift you, and may you find peace. Yasher koach, thank you so much for everything you have taught us already and everything you have yet to teach.
Now it's my turn to speak on you and offer you a blessing as well. So Olivia, I have watched you grow in our congregation over the last several years, and I've watched you grow not just in your Jewish identity, but I feel like in your familial identity. A few years ago, I happened to be on Facebook, go figure, and suddenly there were these beautiful pictures coming from Israel that I had no idea you guys had even gone. And when I spoke to your parents afterward, I learned that you had the opportunity not just to go to Israel on that trip, but to go to Cyprus and to learn more about your familial roots, to learn more about both heritages of your family. And I know how important that heritage is to you. I know how important honoring all of this heritage that you have embodied in you is. Today, you have stood before us and you have taught us as a young Jewish adult. And during this ceremony, we have honored all of your heritage. We have had your great-grandmother, we've had both sets of your grandparents have been able to bless you, your parents have been able to bless you, and Torah has been passed from generation to generation to generation to generation. And Torah, while we have this embodiment right here, while we have this object, you might think that we're talking about just this scroll. But that's not what we talk about when we talk about passing Torah from generation to generation to generation to generation. Because the Torah of your life is still being written. And the Torah that was passed to you today is that of your great-grandmother, is that of your grandparents, is that of your parents. And that Torah that was given to you today is the obligation as a young adult to carry on that heritage, all of that heritage, within you and in all that you do. So I offer you this blessing that you may know that responsibility of passing things from generation to generation, Lador Vador. We are gifts and we are blessings. We are history in song. We are hope and we are healing. We are learning to be strong. We are words and we are stories. We are pictures of the past. You're the carrier of wisdom, not the first and not the last. Lador vador nagid God lecha. Lador vador, you protect this chain from generation to generation. Lador vador, your lips will praise God's name. Looking back on the journey that we carry in our hearts, from the shadow of the mountain to those waters that would part. We are blessed and we are holy. You're a child of God's way. And these words that bring you meaning, you will have the chance to say. Lador vador nagid God lecha. Lador vador, you protect this chain from generation to generation. Lador vador, your lips will praise God's name. Lador vador. Lador vador nagid God lecha. Lador vador, you protect this chain from generation to generation. Lador vador, these lips will praise your name. Mazal tov, and thank you for blessing us with your presence and your teachings today.
So Olivia, now we come to the part of the service where you get to just stand back and have everyone tell you how awesome and amazing you are. And you get to receive lots of gifts from people because you've earned every single one of them. And we hope you'll be able to use so many of them throughout your life. So the first person who's going to be offering gifts to you is Donnie Paquin on behalf of the board. And one of the gifts, which she'll tell you about, is a Bat Mitzvah certificate that you'll have, which was actually created by someone in our congregation a few years ago. Alyssa Wagner designed it, and we are so blessed that she did that so that you'll be able to enjoy it for many years to come. Let's hear from Donnie.
Hi, Olivia. My name is Donnie Paquin, and I am here on behalf of the Board of Directors. First of all, Mazel Tov. What an absolutely beautiful job you've done today. We are so proud of you and all you've accomplished in becoming a Bat Mitzvah. And I hope you're feeling pretty proud of yourself too, as you should. It is my great honor to present you with a certificate commemorating this very special day and your very own copy of the High Holidays Machzurim, so you can study and pray and learn with us for many, many years to come. It has truly been an honor to spend this day with your friends and family, and of course, with you. Mazel tov.
Thank you so much, Donnie, and we hope that you'll be able to really use those and enjoy them, Olivia. We also have, on behalf of Sisterhood, Lisa Weiss.
Hi, Olivia. On behalf of Sisterhood, we would like to present you with this Kiddush cup. We're so happy for you and all of your accomplishments. Mazel tov.
We use those Kiddush cups, of course, as symbols of joy so that you can drink grape juice, or when you're old enough and your parents give you permission, perhaps wine, celebrating sacred occasions such as Shabbat. And on behalf of the Mensch Club.
So Olivia, it's my honor actually to represent the Mensch Club today. As you know, our sisterhood at Temple Beth El was part of the foundation of the temple 100 years ago, which is incredible. But more recently, we've started our Mensch Club, which is an organization for the men of the community. And they want to present to you this beautiful gift. This is a wonderful, you can see actually a picture of them on the screen. These are beautiful travel Shabbat candlesticks that you can take with you wherever you go and be able to light candles for Shabbat. And I'm going to continue on behalf of Speedy because, on behalf of our Director of Education, Randy Scher, because unfortunately she really wanted to be here with us today, and she unfortunately also fell ill, which but not well enough to even be on the screen this morning. And she wants to present to you on behalf of the Jewish Federation of Los Angeles and on behalf of our Torah School, this book, Israel Matters, and understand the past and look to the future. And so we know that this will be something you can add to your library and hopefully enjoy and learn a little bit more about Israel. And finally, our currently outgoing president of Speedy, Hannah Brooks, wanted to also be with you today.
She is here. She is here and ready to go. Yes.
Oh,
I'm here.
That's the text that I got. I'm so happy she's here.
I just wanted to present you with the $250 not Speedy certificate, Nifty certificate to go to Israel. We hope you put it to good use for your future trips to Israel. It is very exciting, and we'd like to present you also with a charm for when you go on Nifty events. We get necklaces. I had mine very close to me, and I don't know where it went. And we get we get these beads that represent each event we go to. So we are going to be presenting you with a charm that will go on your necklace, and we really hope you enjoy it.
Absolutely. Thank you, Hannah. I'm so happy you were able to make it. And Olivia, I hope that you will get involved with Speedy at the end of your 8th grade year. So at the end of next year, join our senior youth group. While this next year, we hope that you'll be involved with Yaldei Shalom, our junior youth group. And once you get involved with Speedy and with Nifty, you will get those necklaces for every event that you go to for Nifty. And you'll have a charm to adorn your necklace that'll make it more personal for you. In the meantime, I'm going to let you, I know you've got some thanks that you would like to share.
Okay. I would like to thank these people for their help and support as I become Bat Mitzvah. The Board of Directors for the Bat Mitzvah Certificate and for the High Holy Days Prayer Book, the Temple Beth El for the Kiddush Cup, the Mensch Club for the candlesticks, the North American Federation of Temple Youth for the 250 gift certificate to travel to Israel after my confirmation year, and the LA Jewish Federation for the book, Israel Matters, given me by Educator Director Randy Scher. Thank you all for the wonderful gifts. Rabbi Kale, thank you so much for helping me write and edit my Devar Torah speech. You have been a great help in making sure the speech was complete on time and answering all my questions and much more. Cantor Davidson, I can't thank you enough for your patience and support as I learned the Hebrew for my Bat Mitzvah. You've helped me with each and every prayer in Aliyat and always encouraged me to keep on going even though it was hard. Mom and Dad, thank you so much for supporting me through this entire time. You always made sure I was on my Zoom calls on time. You planned and organized the party, bought me this absolutely amazing tuxedo I'm wearing right now, and so much more I don't even know about. I love you both. Violet and Charlotte, thank you for making sure I don't panic about this too much, and also always reminding me to get on my Zoom calls, even after both of them finished. Everyone who came here in person who I've not named already, thank you so much for traveling here today to see me become Bat Mitzvah. Finally, I would like to thank everyone on Zoom for taking the time to support me becoming Bat Mitzvah, even if you cannot be here in person today. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We have been so blessed this morning to spend this time all together, celebrating what a phenomenal job you have done today, Olivia, and celebrating just the beauty of your teachings and your Torah reading and of Shabbat. Today, we have been blessed to be together. And as we've been blessed to be together, we know that we are also thinking about those who are not able to be here today. Those who are no longer here in body, but are certainly here in spirit and are certainly remembered. We are thinking about Conrad and Arlene Frischman, of Ahmed Omer and Ahmet and Minuver Sedam, Benjamin Loubert, Mildred and Daniel Loubert, all of whom we know hold a special place in our hearts. And as we offer the words of the mourner's Kaddish, let us join together in saying these words of memory. Yitkadal v'yitkadash shemei Rabbah, ve'amad zivrach hirotei ve'amlich malchotei, v'chayachon u'vyomachon, u'v'chayei d'kol beit Yisrael, v'agalah u'bizman kariv imru amen. Yehei shemei Rabbah mevarach le'olam olamei almaya, Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitramam v'yitnaseh, v'yitadar v'yitalev v'yitalal shemei dekudesha b'richu, le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata, tushbachata v'nechamata, dameran v'yama v'yimru amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemaya v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom Aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Zichronam livracha, may their memories always be a blessing.
Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'imru amen. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Ya'aseh shalom, ya'aseh shalom, shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael. Mazal tov, Shabbat shalom.
So for everyone who is here online and everyone who is there in the sanctuary, you will have an opportunity in just a few minutes to be together in order to offer words of congratulations. So as Tony and Dave are getting that all set up, just sit tight, but Mazal Tov, hang around so that you can offer Olivia and her family just wonderful words of praise.